What's going on, everybody? So I get a lot of questions on social media about techniques, certain baits. How do I get more fish on this lure? How do I gain confidence in that lure? What am I doing wrong with this technique, and what can I do better with that technique? So with those, a lot of those questions, it's hard to really give a detailed response with the written word in a direct message response and expect you guys to maybe get it, understand it, and get better. So I want to do a series on YouTube that I call The Setup, and it's going to be basically a certain technique, a certain bait, what I use, and the rod setup, the line setup, the bait, the colors, where I throw it, when I throw it. And so I wanted to break it down real quick with the first one. The first bait that I want to do this on is a Bladed Jig, or a Chatterbait style lure. So when it comes to a chatterbait, you can fish them all times of the year. They're really great in the pre-spawn, and then they're great around cover like grass, wood, even some rock situations. So a chatterbait vibrating jig style lure is very unique. So first off, I'm going to go through the head and the blade. So this is a Z-Man jackhammer, and that is one of the new ones out on the market. It came out last year, I believe, and it's really got a good side to side head action, and that's really what makes this deal so great. That blade hits the head and it makes a ticking noise when it goes back and forth. So it's not just the profile of a swim bait or profile of a bait, shad or whatever it is. It's got vibration, it's got noise, and it's got just basically, it's very versatile. It's not a spinner bait, it's not a swim bait, it's a mixture of the two, in my opinion. And it's got a little bit of swim jig in it too. So there's a couple different baits that this thing kind of resembles, and it's my favorite bait to throw. I love throwing a chatterbait style lure. So wanted to go through real quick. I always fish this on fluorocarbon, and I preface all of this stuff with, I'm not a Bassmaster Elite Series pro, I'm not a professional angler. I work with the pros, and I love bass fishing, so wanted to preface that in this video. But with this chatterbait, I love fluorocarbon, and I'm going to throw it on 15-pound fluorocarbon. Every brand has a great fluorocarbon. I mean, I'm not going to pick sides on that, but I personally use Seagar 15-pound fluorocarbon, and I think that it does what it needs to do to get fish in the boat, especially if you pair that up with the right rod. It will load up the right way, and it'll land you more fish than trying to do it on braid. Braid doesn't give. Fluoro stretches just slightly, but it's also clear, and it has that stealthiness. So that's the line I use, 15-pound fluorocarbon. I could see me going up to 17 in certain situations, or maybe down to 14, but that's going to be my range, 14 to 17 all day long. The reel to me doesn't necessarily matter as much. I like a normal gear ratio, and what I say by normal, not fast, not slow, and that is a 6 to 6.4 to 1 gear ratio. So that's my reel setup and line. I use it on an ALX Zolo Deputy, and so every company has a great rod that has a fast tip, and that's what I love about this. It is a 7'1" medium heavy, but it's got a fast tip. So it has the backbone, but that tip will load up quickly, and you can see in the footage how well a rod is supposed to load when you hook up with a fish. One thing I see a lot of people do is they'll just jerk, just a quick jerk, like you would with a spinnerbait or something. Oftentimes that's when they come up and jump and shake their head and the bait goes flying out. That is because you jerked. What you really want is you want to feel that fish hit that bait, take it, and then when you lean, it just loads up, and that rod will load up. When you jerk like that, it'll normally, like, that blade, when you set the hook, let's just say it's buzzing along, you know, it's vibrating along back and forth, and all of a sudden a fish eats it, it's going to come up from behind and it's going to grab this bait. Now if you jerk, what's the first thing that's going to happen? When you jerk, that line is going to pull and that blade is going to pop open, and what it's going to do is it's going to hit the roof of that fish's mouth, and it's going to flare that fish's mouth open, And when that happens, that's when you see them hooked just barely in the top of the lip, or just barely on the side. And when they come up and shake, that's when you see a hole form, and you'll normally lose that fish. So what you want is, you almost just want to take that one more, or 1.5, 2 more reels and lean, and that rod will do the work for you. And you'll normally have it where you can close their mouth and you won't even see the bait, or you'll just barely see the head. And that's the way you want it, because that hook will be in the top of their head, in the top of their mouth, you know, basically going up in their head, and they can't shake that no matter how much they try to. So that's an important thing when it comes to a chatterbait. So don't jerk, just sweep into them. That's an important factor. So when it comes to colors, there's a couple different colors. I got a box right here. I like to keep it pretty simple. So my box, I don't want to dump them all out. I got 3 basic deals: black and blue, green pumpkin, white and chartreuse. That's really all you need. There are some bluegill type ones in there, but I classify those as, you know, a green pumpkin. So this is a green pumpkin with a little bit of chartreuse, and it's kind of just a best of both worlds. I think this is called Bee Height Delight, Brett Height's signature color. And I love a white and chartreuse. And I've got the original chatterbait as well as the jackhammer. I've always had great success with the original chatterbait as well. And then the jackhammer is the new and improved, and it is the deal. People want to know, I don't want to spend $15 on a vibrating jig, whether it's the jackhammer, the thunder cricket, whatever it is. They're good. The hooks are good in them. The blade hits the head the right way. But I still love the old school ones too. They work just fine as well. So 3 different colors: black and blue, green pumpkin, and white and chartreuse. And then you also, you know, you mix in that chartreuse and other things. So those are the 3 colors, and I kind of temper that on watercolor, time of the year, and the cover that you're fishing around. I like this. This is a great for a, you know, a somewhat dirty water, somewhat clean water. You know, if it's a mix, if you're around grass, it's just a subtle, not too chartreuse, not too dulled down. So it's a real good deal. When it comes to trailers, I've got a couple different trailers. Let me see if I can get one out of here. I do mix it up with a crawfish imitating trailer, a flapping style trailer, as I'll call it, which just has those 2 claws that'll do that. So here it is actually. So otherwise though, my main trailers will be swim bait imitating, shad imitating trailers. So here's one right quick. This is a Z-Man Aztec, and it is just a razor shad, which is just a shad profile. You've got the Strike King blade minnow that also is just the straight shad style. You have a fluke, like a zoom fluke or a caffeine shad. Any shad type forked tail, not a paddle tail. Those are good. Streamline approach. I don't really like my swim bait trailer, my chatterbait trailer, to have a lot of action, because my chatterbait is doing all the action for me. I just want it to just give the profile, and it's also, you know, I also use the Yamamoto Zaku. I also had a smaller profile swim bait that a friend of mine made in North Carolina, and I use those as well, just a smaller profile. So I like to keep it simple when I do a crawl trailer. Normally it's dirtier water, it'll be on a black and blue, or it'll be when I'm trying to slow it down a little bit, when I'm not trying to cover as much water quickly. You know, it's like if I'm just gonna be fishing around bushes, or if I'm gonna be fishing around grass clumps and I don't need to go fast, that's also when I throw a crawfish trailer. So that's basically step 1. If you've never thrown a chatterbait bladed jig style lure, that's exactly my whole deal, from rod to the 15-pound fluorocarbon to the Zolo Deputy, to the colors of the chatterbait, and then even the cadence and how I reel it. So basically, if you've never thrown it, throw it, give it a try, tell me how much luck you have on it. If there's anything you liked in this video, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to be doing this about other techniques as well, and I'll have some footage to go with it. It'll be pertinent time of the year and whatnot. But get you a bladed jig, 3/8, ½ ounce, either size. I like both. No really rhyme or reason, just based on the conditions in the moment. how I pick one or the other. If I'm fishing a little deeper, or if I'm trying to reel it quicker, I like the 1/2 ounce. If I'm throwing it up a little shallower, or maybe able to fish it slower, shallower without dragging the bottom, I like that 3/8 ounce. So get a chatterbait, get a good medium heavy rod that's got some tip to it. It's got some tip to it, and be patient. But chatterbait is a fish catcher. Try it out. It's my favorite bait to throw when the fish aren't on beds. I love sight fishing, but if I can catch them on a chatterbait the rest of the year, that is what I want to be throwing. So if you have any other questions, like the video, you want anything else done, let me know below. So thanks for watching.